Hello everyone. Second chapter of Democratic Politics deals with federalism. If we recall the story of Belgium and Sri Lanka of the first chapter, we will recall that in Belgium a federal structure came up in 1993. Although states existed in Belgium, as we talked about Flemish and Wallonia region and about Brussels, so states existed in Belgium before 1993 also, but they were subordinate to the central government, and central government could at any time give powers, extend power to the states, or at any time it could take it back, because at the center after every 5 years there are election and maybe some other party comes to the power. So power sharing with the state depended on the central government till 1993. But we have read that in 1993 the leaders of Belgium, they amended their constitution 4 times, and the decision on which they reached finally in 1993, that was a true federalism, because in federalism state governments or states, they derive their power not from any government, not from the central government, but from the constitution. And when they derive power from the constitution, it means that these are guaranteed powers. Means whatever government comes at the center, states will exist and they will enjoy their jurisdiction, they will enjoy their powers. So this was the reference from the first chapter, because in this chapter, federalism, we are going to focus in detail on one topic, that is power sharing between the different levels of the government, or you can rightly call it the vertical power sharing. So as the contrast shows us, the contrast, that is contrasting example of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka shows the example of a unitary form of government. In a unit, you have in board examination distinguish between a federal and unitary form of government. So federal, where power sharing is there between the different levels of the government. Give example of India, USA, Switzerland, Spain, or they all are federal countries. Give all these examples, because examples fetch you marks. Whereas, so power sharing is there between the levels of the government, and in a federal country, these state governments which exist, they have their guaranteed existence, means they derive their power from the constitution. They are not subordinate to any other or central government. Whereas in unitary form of governments, either state do not exist, either state do not exist. In a unitary form of government, there is a single unit. No states exist. Even if the other side of the story is that if the state exists, either they do not have their power of own, or they are subordinate to the central government. So distinguish between federalism, states derive their power from the constitution, they are not dependent on the central government, because if they depend on the central government, they will take up the form of a unitary form of government. So in a unitary form of government, I told you, either state do not exist, and if the state exists, they do not have guaranteed powers. They are subordinate to the central government. Central government could at any time they extend them power, or at any time they could take them back. Sri Lanka gives us the example of a unitary form of government, where we have seen that everything is in the hands of Sinhalas. Everything is in the hands of the Sinhala government. And the states, they do not exist and they do not get their power. So federalism and unitary system, they are contrast. They are opposite to each other. In this chapter, however, we are going to study the story of federalism. We are going to focus on India, that what makes India a truly federal country. India is truly a federal country because there is power sharing between the different levels of the government. In fact, if we study in detail, as we have seen in the first chapter, forms of power sharing, we can very well imagine, or we can very well understand that in India, at every step, at every stage, there is power sharing. All forms of power sharing exist in India. So in this chapter, again, levels of the government, you have the first topic. What do you mean by federalism? I told you federalism means when the administrative power do not rest in one government only or in the central government, but it is shared. It is divided between the states, and then there are local bodies in the form of municipalities and panchayats. In a federal country, the administrative power is divided either between two or more than two levels of the government. You can give the example of Belgium, central government, state government, then community government. You can give the example of India. There is a central government, there are state governments, each state has its own government, and then further there is sharing power between the municipalities or municipal corporations and panchayats. Villages are the units. So it's a federal unit, it's a federal country. So elaborate this answer with maximum examples of India, example of Belgium, example of USA, very good example of federalism where 13 states come together on their own. They shared power, they shared sovereignty. Give example of USA, give example of Spain, give example of Switzerland. So federal countries. So in a federal country there is vertical power sharing, whereas in a unitary system either state do not exist. If they exist, they derive their power from the central government if they wish to share power with them, otherwise not. So this was our first topic, what do you mean by federalism and what do you mean by unitary form of government. Then our long answer will be we will focus on what makes India a federal country, or what are the different features that makes India truly a federal country. So we will dwell upon all these points. The first point itself tells you that India is truly a federal country because there is power sharing between the different levels of the government. There is a central government, there are state governments, there are local bodies, municipalities and panchayats. So levels of the government exist, so India is a federal country. The second feature that makes India truly a federal country, that each level has its own jurisdiction. Jurisdiction means sphere of working powers. Each level has its own powers. When we will proceed this chapter, we will come through a list system. There is a proper sharing. There is a proper division of power between the center, between the states, the subjects which are of the importance of both center and state, and there are certain other subjects which do not refer to any of the list, but they are as residuary powers, because India is a very vast country and any subject can be there before the government which is not mentioned in any of the lists. So a very proper list system have been adopted. In the preceding lectures we will discuss about it in detail. So each level has its own jurisdiction and they work according to their own jurisdiction, according to the powers assigned to them. Correct? So this feature also makes India truly a federal country. Then the third feature that makes India a truly federal country is that the fundamental provisions of the Constitution cannot be changed unilaterally. Such a change in the fundamental provision of the Constitution require a bilateral decision, require the consent of so many. That is, the fundamental provisions of the Constitution. About Constitution we know there are certain fundamental provisions, like for example India exists as a federal country, there is division of power between center, state, etc., etc. So the fundamental provision of the Constitution cannot be changed unilaterally, means alone any one house of the parliament or alone any other agency of the government is not authorized to amend the Constitution. If such a constitutional amendment is needed, there is a separate provision for it. Why this feature exists? Why this feature is there in federalism? So that the state governments, they are very satisfied with their powers and they do not have any fear that their powers would be disrupted or their powers would be taken away. So as to guarantee them their autonomy, so as to guarantee them their rights, fundamental provisions of the Constitution cannot be changed unilaterally. Such a change need a bilateral. About this topic also we will discuss in detail in the preceding chapter, that how the fundamental provisions of the Constitution are changed, because two amendments already you have in your syllabus, the amendment of 1990 and the amendment of 1992. So how these amendments are done and how the majority is needed on it, what majority is needed and how this is done, it's a separate topic and we will discuss it in detail. The fourth feature that makes India a federal country is the role of courts. Because when the governments exist at different level, although there are provisions that they are very smooth and they work according to their jurisdiction, but on small matters sometimes conflicts or rivalries occur between center state, between state to state, between two or more states, between center and state. So many conflicts. So courts, they play a very important role in solving all these. There is a high court in every state, or two states have a common high court, and there is a Supreme Court, there is an apex court. And there are so many adalats, so many small courts at the different levels. So courts, there is a pyramidical system of courts in India. At lower level, there are so many courts. Then we go upper. Then there are high courts in every state, and apex, that is here, it is Supreme Court in Delhi. Apex court, final decision here. So whatever conflicts occur, if occurs between center states or states to states, the courts are there to interpret, and courts are also there to interpret the constitution. Although the language of the constitution is very easy, but even then sometimes if the policies are not clear, courts are there to interpret the constitution. The next feature is the sources of revenue for each level of the government are fixed. Central government, sources of revenue, because revenue is particular matter which is very important, very critical for the governments. So the sources of revenue have been fixed for center, for state, and we all know that the state government, they share the revenues with the local bodies, that is municipalities and panchayats, according to their size, according to their shape. And finally, we have another very important feature, very important as far as India is concerned: mutual trust and agreement to live together. The dual objectives of federalism. Dual objectives: mutual trust, agreement to live together. If center and state do not trust each other, there will be conflicts, there will be disturbance, there will be riots. So mutual trust and agreement to live together are dual objectives of every federalism like it exists in India. And in a federalism, there are due respect for all the jurisdictions, for all the divisions of power between the different levels of the government. So this is another very important feature that makes India truly a federal country. Tomorrow we will discuss about how federations are formed. These we have discussed the features, what makes India a truly federal country. We will discuss that how in India there is a centralized federation. We will also discuss that different types of different routes from which the federations have been formed in the world. We will discuss about those two routes. We will discuss further about federal story, about federalism. Till then, it is a very goodbye from me.